Hello everyone and welcome back to my campaign diary for the Rime of the Frostmaiden campaign Aracséa edition. In today's session, the party come face to face with the enemy in a way that no one saw coming. So first off, let's talk about that little epilogue, or a little epilogue that occurred at the end of last session. So as the party left Lonelywood, the camera panned back to the village and you see the back of a brown leather hood as someone watches them leave. After a while, the wind blows, throwing back the hood and revealing the pale white skin and turned horns of a tiefling, alluding to Perfidy, of course, the white-skinned tiefling that they saw so many sessions ago, who was watching them and hinting at her involvement with Imperious Solasta. At least that is the intent, starting to lay down some of the Azarine assembly linkages in the campaign. Alas, our heroes, the runaways, make way to return to Brinjanda with a seal of recommendation of sorts for the speaker from Yoshi. A creed of Lonelywood's intent to return to the fold now that its problems have more or less been solved. On the return journey, Freyda shares her concerns that she doesn't believe that they didn't she doesn't believe that they didn't kill Ravison. That she thought it was just like a shade, a ghostly form of her perhaps, and that Ravison may still be out there. A notion that the other two somewhat agreed with, but resolved kind of in the knowledge that at least some good was done. It was also this time where Stronus took a turn for the dramatic and began questioning the party, basically asserting if he can trust them after the events of Goodmead, questioning them not staying to help despite being responsible for what happened. This was a fantastic roleplay moment within the group and led to a lot of backstory things being revealed. Stronus asked the group if they grieved. Mutin and Freyda were somewhat outraged at the accusation, explaining that they grieved in their own way and went out to try and exact revenge on Merrin. And after some heated discussion and reassurances, conversation continued. Stronus finally explains why he cannot return to Minrock and tells the party of the entire ordeal with Vokin Runebrand and what occurred at the fortress that he went to liberate 7 years ago. And then following that, Mutiny revealed her backstory in its entirety, including her dreams, her possessions, and a song that she heard in her most recent dream, which went as follows. For when the lands become ice and the old mountain cools, will blades of glass make whisper their fall, and hearken across fields so that pilgrims may follow, to rise from a frozen throne, and lords of fire swallow. And lo, doth she come from within the ice and snow, aside a pale beast, salvation to bestow, the herald to our Lord to put out a dire flame, the end of all suffering, and to his name reclaimed. Freyda, feeling somewhat responsible for stealing answers from her by destroying that crystal and setting events in motion that led to Mutiny being rediscovered, swears an oath to her that she will do everything in her power to help her be rid of Crowley's sway. Mutiny reveals her notes on how she plans to get rid of her Crowley kind of like passenger, which includes the scrawled notes from the altar on the island of Lakdenashire, where they fought the Chain Devil, finding other power sources such as the Leyline Tree, a line from Query that Stronus outright dismisses, though agrees to help her refine a way to fuel and repurpose the spell to hopefully unbind herself from Crowley's service. Upon arriving, they see a multitude of dwarven caravans in Brinjanda and unfamiliar hooded dwarven figures unloading things from them, crates of goods and the like, assumably. The group wastes no time and go to speak to Speaker Devessa to inform her of their success in Lonelywood. A brief discussion takes place where they confer the next part of their plans, namely to travel to Caer Dineval to follow up on Hruna's inquiry and convince Speaker Cranach to align with the Jarlsmoot. Just as the party left, Devessa tells Stronus that a dwarf with burn marks on his face was asking around town after him, saying that he was from Taporg. Now, Taporg is the name of the fort where he was 7 years ago, and this obviously causes Stronus's fears to settle in and really start to cause caution to his actions and puts him on the back foot for what is going to happen next. Of course, news that terrifies him, and of course the trauma of all those past events beginning to flood back definitely helps put his guilt in the forefront of his mind. And yes, so Strunis returned to the group after that, not far outside the town hall, and rapped in thought about who could have survived and been trying to find him, and what could all of it mean, and what did they want. Or the possibility of, is it a trap set by Vokun? I made them roll a perception check. They all rolled pretty low, apart from Stronus, and his attention was drawn to a larger caravan being wheeled to the central courtyard. Before he could react to what was about to happen, a sudden feeling of dread and doom began to fill his core. Stronus, almost in slow motion, began to look towards the other odd dwarves unloading things from other caravans, and like a sort of red wedding moment, all at once the illusion faded, revealing that these were not dwarves, but Duergar. And stepping down from the large caravan was a visage clad in black metal, wielding a large mace forged of pure sin and flame. A large, cragged, almost volcanic blade, and wearing a crown as black as the night. A visage they had only seen in arcane projections until now, the visage, of course, of Warlord Dunamis Zarazes, and they immediately began burning buildings, attacking villages, and initiative was rolled. During this whole reveal, I had the pleasure of Carl, Stronus' player, just repeating, "Wait, what? No, wait, this is happening. You can't do this in the tutorial town." And it was a very funny moment. And of course, a lengthy battle ensues with the archetypal villain that they have come to know so far. And this battle basically consisted of the villain just absolutely wrecking them. Azazel died at one point, much to Mutiny's distress, and by the end, after a long, arduous fight, only Stronus remained. Now, something I had yet to do in this campaign was kind of have the villain's direct intervention, which is something I'm usually aimed to do quite early to give the players like a real connection to really want to track this guy down, and a reason to go after them beyond being told that that's what the goal is. This was also an opportunity for the group to get an idea of what they might eventually be facing. He had multiple Duergar relics and weapons that he used during the fights, and multiple cool little things he could do. Items that, when he got face to face with Stronus recognised as they were recovered from his expedition 7 years ago, solidifying in his mind Vokun's involvement in the Duergar menace. Now, you and I both know that Dunamis is Vokun, but Stronus is yet to figure that out. Not that there's been any hints, and Carl, for all his absolutely on-point theories about most of the things, I don't think even suspects this, which would be a good surprise for him. It also served as a good moment for Dunamis to send a message to the speakers of 10 towns and to the people. The speech went roughly as follows. Kind of said, "Hark, people of 10 towns, a new dawn is coming, and you are all at its precipice. Listen not to your leaders, who would do naught but lead you astray. They claim these champions will be their saviours, but your heroes cannot stop the tide of destiny that awaits. They cannot halt the return of what is rightfully ours. So, usurpers, I offer you an opportunity. Abandon their foolish hopes. Reject the doom the speakers would inflict upon you. They plot to spend your lives to tighten their vice on their loose claims and relish in their luxury. But I am here to offer you a choice. Defy your leaders' treachery and embrace your rightful sovereign. Defy their dominance and reap the bounty of life we will offer you. Rejoice with us, the return of power where it should be. And if they should not listen to reason, if they should turn their backs on you and condemn you all to die, then make them. If they insist upon your demise, force them. They sit in their halls ready to offer your blood in defiance. Do not let it be so. Do this, and it shall not be surrender. It shall be liberation. I implore you, for if they should keep their tyranny, we will have no choice but to ensure they will meet their obliteration, and for that, only they can be held responsible. Do what you know is right. We will be watching, and we will return." And with that, the threat vanished. The Dwargard troop and Dunamis all either teleporting or turning invisible and retreating. Their message having been delivered. The champions, the Skalder of 10 Towns, laid to waste. Essentially, a point has been made, evidently. And so, our party lays there defeated, with all but Stronus left conscious. And we kind of ended it there on that somber, very tense moment, and a very important session for the party, with plenty of time to head to recompose themselves, and they're going to have to think about their next moves. And in general, a great session that was. A lot for the players to recollect on, and a lot of roleplay and action to boot. Very interesting things coming up, and another moment for the party to be set on the back foot, which is all that they seem to be at the moment. Not pretty far behind. They really need a victory soon, and it will come in time. They have quite a few victories coming up. And so that was session 27, the Ultimatum. Thanks everyone for listening, and as always, we will see you next time.